You have to think of it as a stool. You don't want a one-legged stool. You
No.
want a three-legged stool.
That sounds very uncomfortable.
Right. So
Be Nice Individuals Podcast.
Hey folks, this is Thaddeus. I'm on the Be Nice Individuals Podcast, which is hosted here at the Flagler Voice Podcast Studio. I have a very special guest in studio. He is a man of mystery from just talking to him, but just a brief couple moments here. He's William Eldredge. Did I get it right?
that is correct.
Okay, Eldredge. I've never met him before, but I'm intrigued. He was talking a little bit about previous experiences and acting in New York. He's from USA Benefits Group. Let's talk about it. How you doing today, William?
I'm doing great.
Tell me about the acting. I need to know because that's cool.
Well, it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And, I was living in New York City and feeling a little bohemian, and started working in an art school, and I was doing some modeling, and
Dude.
then I wanted to get into, acting. Had some acting friends, and mostly just did grassroots school work, and went on auditions and did short films for a lot of, people trying to make it in the business. Never
That's
got
cool.
real far with it, but
No, that's
it was
cool.
a lot of fun.
That's cool. I love that. And for me, I got into content for a reason that wouldn't be obvious to you. I was doing it for another industry, right? And that kind of drew me into creating content, doing kind of what I do now. But it's just like these little things in life shape our experiences and where we end up. It's kind of cool. But William, I love people that have these interesting backgrounds, such as yourself. You're talking about previous experience of acting. And that was like 20 years ago in New York, mind you. I've never been to New York. Tell me about it. Should I go?
It's a wonderful city.
Yeah?
It's the center of the world, really, at that time,
Yeah.
So, I haven't been there. I've moved away from there about 17 years ago and haven't been back since, but it was an experience, the 10 years I did live there.
Okay, you lived there for 10 years. You didn't grow up there then, though.
Oh, no.
Where did you grow up?
I actually grew up near Buffalo, New York.
Okay. So you were talking about not growing up in New York City, but you lived in New York City for a little bit?
I was born in New York State near Buffalo.
Uh-huh.
Moved to Florida in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Traveled around after high school for a little bit. Ended
Mm-hmm.
up in New York City for 10 years, and then moved back here where my family is, and started my own family.
I like that. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. And somewhere in your many adventures, you came upon USA Benefits Group, this man of mystery, to kind of tell us today more about what US Benefits Group is. So I have kind of a brief understanding of it, but there's an audience of people out there that want to know more about it. So give high level what USA Benefits Group is, and then I'll ask you kind of some specific questions to further my understanding, maybe the understanding of the audience. So first, William, what is USA Benefits Group?
Well, USA Benefits Group is one of the largest brokers of health and life insurance in the nation.
Okay.
We are independent brokers.
Uh-huh.
What that means is that we have connection with over 80 different carriers,
Okay.
but we are not an insurance company.
Okay.
So we work with 80 different companies to sell health insurance and package health insurance around the client based on their needs and what they need,
Mm-hmm.
based on their age and health.
That makes sense. So insurance, when we're talking insurance,
We're talking about under 65 health insurance,
uh-huh.
life insurance, and
Do you do
senior insurance.
senior insurance? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, do you happen to do like supplementals at all? Kind of like, I'm envisioning like Aflac. Do you do stuff like that?
We do supplementals.
Uh-huh.
I don't sell Aflac,
Yeah.
but there are supplementals I'd use.
Yeah.
Again, I package things together based on people's needs. My job really is to, and the way I've been taught to do insurance is you have to think of it as a stool.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want a one-legged stool. You want
No.
a three-legged stool.
That sounds very uncomfortable.
Right. So, right, a one-legged stool, you're going to be wobbling. Right.
Yeah.
So that's just plain health insurance by itself.
Right.
A three-legged stool is where you're going to package that with some critical illness, some accident plan, maybe some life insurance on top of that.
Yeah.
So you're going to have a well-rounded package. So I look at it, and the way I've been taught is I'm looking at the big hit. I want to cover that catastrophic event. You know, that heart attack or stroke, God forbid that happens. But if that's going to be a $250,000 hit, you want to make sure you're covered.
Yeah, and I've talked about this before on this podcast. Florida, whole state, doesn't matter where you are. It's God's waiting room. It's true. It's true. And so being God's waiting room, you're going to need your health insurance first off, because the population is generally towards the elderly side, but also the supplemental stuff, the supplemental benefits, whatever, life insurance benefits, all that stuff. And what you're saying, as an independent broker,
Yes.
you can go to the client, talk to them about their needs, and figure out what would work best for them in their specific situation. Is that accurate? Did I get that understanding correct?
That is exactly correct. Yes.
I love it. And you're looking out for the client more so.
I am looking out for the client. That's my job.
Mm-hmm.
I want to find the best premiums, but also the best protection, not just coverage, because you can be in a snowstorm in a T-shirt and be covered, right?
I see what you did there. That's pretty good. Yeah.
But you want to, be protected.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I want to find that protection for you at the best rates. And ultimately, I want to leave you without having a lot of money coming out of your pocket
Yeah.
if you do have an event. Or even go to the doctor. There's ways to get money. Have you ever been had insurance and been to a doctor and got a check from the insurance company?
No.
There's ways to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have one client. They called me up. I set him up with a policy like that.
Uh-huh.
He went to the doctor. We turned in the paperwork. He emailed me and called me and said it worked. He got a check in the mail after going to the doctor.
Now, I could see how some people who are accident prone would really benefit from something like that. Would that encourage those people to be a little bit more careless, or just to go to the doctor so they can get a check? How does it work?
Well, there's a thing called defined benefits, and that's what we kind of package, like you were saying, with the supplemental insurance.
Yeah.
There's ways to get rid of deductibles.
Yeah.
And the defined benefits plans are set up that they give a certain amount of money for a certain procedure or event, and then anything left over, you get that money back. I have a friend who he was young actually. He got insurance with a defined benefits plan. He went to figured I'll go get my yearly checkup, and because he had insurance.
Sure.
So he went in and found out he had a heart problem.
Oh no.
Next thing you know, 2 weeks later, he's in the heart doing open heart surgery with
wow.
a heart valve.
Yeah.
A new heart valve.
Uh-huh.
He ended up walking away with about $28,000 after it was all said and done.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
But he had the supplemental benefit package, so to speak.
Right,
Yeah.
He had a well-rounded package through USA Benefits Group that ended up paying for all the procedures and the hospitalization, intensive care, and walked away with money in his pocket. And that's tax-free money to do what you want with. I mean, you could go on vacation if you wanted, but most people use it because if you have a heart attack or an open heart surgery, you're going to be sitting at home not working. So that's going to help you pay your bills and take care of your family.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, the other side of that is, if maybe a person didn't have USA benefits to help them to create a well-rounded package, is maybe that person without the supplemental insurance or whatever, they might end up going to the hospital, and instead of walking away with $28,000, maybe they're owing $28,000 because they don't have a well-rounded independent broker who's actually looking out for their interests, which is a possibility. That's what I'm surmising from just our conversation so far.
That is correct.
Yeah.
And
Now,
that was one example. I mean, not everybody's going to get a $28,000 check. But
sure.
If you do have a package or well-rounded, and again, that's what we do at USA Benefits Group, is try to help reduce those out-of-pocket costs.
Yeah.
You might not walk away with a huge check, but at least you're not going to be paying a lot of money when you
sure.
get your a procedure done.
Yeah, no, absolutely. One of the things I like, though, too, when I'm talking to brokers, period, like auto insurance brokers or whatever, is there's not just one product that they're representing. They're representing a number of different companies, and being that they're representing a number of different companies, you can just go to a person instead of having to contact each individual company, tell them again and again your list. This is who I am, answer. But just talking to one person who can compare all these things all at the same time. I think there's no better way to go about getting your insurance. Me personally. That's just my personal opinion, folks. But my personal opinion is you need to go through a broker so that they can sit there and compare with you and make sure you're going with the best option for your specific situation. I assume that's obviously something that attracted you to the industry as well. Is that accurate?
That is accurate, and that's exactly what we do at USA Benefits Group. You
Yeah.
know, like I said, we have 80 different carriers I work with
Oh, nice.
that I can tap into based
Yeah.
on what you're looking for and what you need.
Yeah.
And I encourage people to ask if you have an agent, and that's being a broker compared to someone who's captive.
Yeah.
Someone who's captive only sells the insurance for the insurance company they work for.
Sure.
So as like you were explaining with a broker, we don't have to do that.
Yeah.
So I encourage your agent to ask your agent, can you show me other options?
Yeah.
I also encourage you to ask, what do you have?
Yeah.
Because if they're not using what they're selling, there might be, you might be wondering why not.
Yeah. Like, I'm going to give you this one. I don't use this one, but give it a shot. Let me know how it goes. Something like that.
That happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that. I can't imagine that somebody's selling something that they don't necessarily believe it. But, different people's different situation, But you're saying that there are some unscrupulous individuals, potentially. But there's unscrupulous individuals in every industry. They may be pushing a product that they don't actually believe in. But ethical behavior and just being honest and truthful seems like a hallmark of USA Benefits Group.
We do. We pride ourselves on professionalism and customer service.
Yeah.
So and as your broker, I'm available. You call me, text me, email me, and I'm going to help you find the best places to go, to find the best prices in the networks that you're using. Did you know that the medical industry is really the only service industry that nobody ever asks, how much does that cost?
That is true.
Yeah.
And you don't often think about that because when you have like a certain need, like I'll give you a for instance. So back when I lived in St. Louis, my air conditioner or heater went out in the middle of winter. We weren't price shopping. We needed it fixed because it was freaking 30 degrees. So you're saying it's the exact same way with the medical industry. It's like, okay, this is what it is, and
It is, yeah. So you go to the doctor, and the doctor says, "Oh, I want you to go get this MRI," and you have the right to say, "Well, I trust you, doc, and I'm going to go do it, but how much is that going to cost?"
yeah,
And a lot of times, and I don't want to, I don't know I'm not a doctor, but
Yeah.
I know that they will sometimes send you to the place that's going to cost more
really?
because they have relationships.
Oh yeah,
So there's something on my website actually called the Healthcare Blue Book,
Mhm.
and you can go on there and look something up and find the best price.
Oh, that's
best
cool.
facility in your area. For example, I was just looking up before I came here, like an ankle MRI right here in Palm Coast.
Yeah, yeah.
You could pay anywhere from $340 to $3,100,
Mm-hmm.
depending on where you go.
Wow.
So that's a huge difference.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And the fair market price is about $600.
Yeah.
So you can still get the procedure done, but you can tell your doctor, I'd rather go to this facility than this facility. And that's where I would help you as a broker to look those places up and make sure you're getting the best bang for your buck when it comes to your healthcare needs.
No, that makes sense. And as humans, sometimes people will favor one place over another, or maybe they have a good relationship with a certain practice for an MRI or whatever. But as a broker, you can step outside of that. You're not part of that conversation or part of that interaction with the doctor and maybe a provider. And you can just look at the cost. You can look at what's best, maybe location. Maybe somebody has, they're recovering from something. Maybe they don't want to drive 25 miles. You can look at all that objectively and provide that client of yours with like the best possible option, similar to what you're doing on the life insurance and the health insurance side. Like, you're already in that role, but you can, after the fact, when they're needing that provider to service and assist them, you can help them with that end too, which is fantastic. It's like full service almost there.
Yes, it is.
What got you into it?
Well, I was a teacher actually before I became
What?
a health insurance agent.
Yeah.
It's more mystery.
Yes, yes, it is.
And I love teaching actually, and I like that part of insurance. I brought my teaching experience into the insurance because
That's
I get
cool.
to look at people's insurance
Yeah.
and compare what they have to what I can give them. I can do a free look.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't cost the client anything for me to just look at what you have and
Yeah.
say, hey, this is great, or hey, this, you could get something added to what you have, or I can give you something completely new. But I get to teach people about insurance. And
That's
I'm
cool.
in a networking group, and they kind of joke around. They're like, oh, insurance, yeah, sexy insurance.
Yeah.
And I say, well, I know it's not the most glamorous thing to talk about, but I do get excited about it
Yeah.
because I can teach people the ins and outs of how to use your insurance.
Yeah.
And different types of insurance that people have never heard of, you know. So, but I was a teacher. I got out of that industry and landed in insurance. I know the guy who started USA Benefits Group.
Uh-huh.
He no longer owns the company. He
Yeah.
sold it to a gentleman who I actually know. I didn't know he was the owner at the time,
Yeah.
but then I come to find out he's actually a friend of mine.
Yeah.
And we're out of Spring Hills, our main office now, but we are nationwide. And
Nice.
so the owner said, hey, what do you think about health and life insurance? I said, I don't know anything about it, but
It's like
I
you
got in
can
and-
learn. Yeah.
and I have learned. I've learned
Yeah,
a
yeah.
lot, and I love it now. Again, I get to help people,
Yeah.
and it's a good industry to be in.
So for you, and I've thought about this in life. So, and I've said this a couple times on the podcast. So my experience is law enforcement, but everything can build. Like your different experiences in life, they can build on each other, so that nothing is lost per se. And so your experience as a teacher, I feel like, especially with life insurance, that can be confusing for people. Life insurance, health insurance, supplemental benefits, that can be confusing for people. So you have that background as being a teacher. I assume somewhat patient. You can come alongside a person and speak to them in a way to help them to understand. So none of that experience is lost per se, you might say. Yeah.
That's true. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And do you feel like you're still just teaching right alongside? Like you never left the classroom?
Oftentimes. Yes.
What did you teach?
Mostly second and third grade.
Oh, okay. So you had a lot of patience. Because my son, he's 5. He's in kindergarten right now. And I would not want to be teaching him because he's going to first grade next year, right?
Yeah.
But just to know that that is the space that you were in where you have to, essentially you're dumbing things down.
A little bit.
yeah,
Teach at their level. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like in any industry, what happens is we know the information so well sometimes that we just want to talk industry talk to the people that aren't in the industry, and they're like, huh? They were throwing out all these acronyms and stuff, like, huh? But being a teacher, I feel like you're naturally predisposed to break things down with all the verbiage necessarily this industry specific. And correct me if I'm wrong, but that seems like what I would imagine that you would be like in this industry.
It is. It's been beneficial to
Mm-hmm.
help it, understand how to explain things to people and learn in the industry.
That's
myself.
fantastic.
Yeah.
So if there's people out there that want to actually fully have an understanding, William's your guy, obviously. William, is there anything that we didn't talk about yet that you want to specifically talk about as it relates to your industry?
Not so much. I think we've covered a lot.
Yeah.
Just if you want to get a hold of me, what kind of the process would be for me to take a look at what you have.
Yeah,
or
how can
maybe-
people reach out to you?
Well, they can contact me at my phone number, my business phone number is 386-210-3816.
Okay.
And also my website is usabg.com/W Eldredge. That's WELDREDGE. So you can go on there, you can get my information there. You can even set up an appointment or call, either way. And then once we have a conversation, I'm going to get a little bit of information from you, like zip code and where you live. And did you know that insurance prices vary depending on zip codes and areas that you live in?
I could imagine that. You know why? Because I used to be in law enforcement, and I know certain areas are not as safe. And because of that, I'm like, if I were insurance and I was an actuary or whatever, right? I'd be like, that person lives in the worst neighborhood. They're gonna get injured. So,
a little more risk.
Is that exactly what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll get your information and your health conditions, your age, if you have any pre-existing conditions, kind of medications you might be taking, your doctors. I like to find out people's doctors because most people have a relationship with a doctor.
Yeah.
So that's important for me to know so I can find an insurance plan in the network that you like.
Oh, this still covers that doctor. Okay, cool.
So that's important. And once I get that information, I'm going to go shopping for you.
That's awesome.
And then we'll set up a Zoom appointment. I like to do most of my communication with Zoom.
Yeah.
Because again, being a teacher, I can show it to you, and people learn better when they see it and hear it.
Yeah.
So we have a little connection, and you can be on Zoom. You can show yourself, or you cannot. You can be in your PJs and eat a sandwich or whatever. It's not that important to me, but as long as you can see the plans I'm showing you, and we'll go from there and figure out what's good for you.
That's awesome. Folks, remember to reach out to William Eldredge. So he is with USA Benefits Group. This is a company that handles health insurance, life insurance, supplemental benefits, and that's specifically for in case. All this is in case something happens. Always is the case that it's fine until. And this is just in case. Insurance is always just in case. But you need it. You need it because in life, we're all degrading to a certain degree. We're not getting, better necessarily. Things are breaking down. And so having that insurance is for the inevitable. Reach out to William Eldredge. What he'll do is he'll sit down with you, via Zoom or however it is, and he'll explain the different plans, the different options. He's a broker, and as a broker, he's not pushing one specific product on you. No, he is independent. He's going to come out and he is going to be looking out for your best interest as it relates to health insurance, life insurance, supplemental benefits. And as a former teacher, where he was able to break things down so that young kids could understand, he can do the same thing for you so that you are completely comfortable with the decision you're making. So make sure you guys reach out to William Eldredge at USA Benefits Group to get that conversation started about your health insurance, your life insurance, and your supplemental benefits. Again, this has been Thaddeus on the Be Nice Individuals podcast, which is hosted here at the Flagler Voice Podcast Studio. Again, folks, this is a studio where businesses can come in, shout out their information. Individuals can come in, talk about their ideas, things that they want to express. Come in here and make it happen. And also, I'm waiting on that political candidate to take me up on this offer. We have a phone line here. Call-in features. You can come in and connect directly to your constituents and answer questions live. I want to see it happen. Political candidate, come in here and let's make that happen. But anyway, this has been Thaddeus on the Be Nice Individuals podcast, and we'll see you next time.